A single night or even a toy brought from a weird antique store can ruin your whole childhood and even your adult life. For when I was young, I had something that happened to me that was beyond paranormal. Because of this, I now spend my days in the state house for the criminally insane. I guess it is better here taking medication rather than being in prison and tortured by other inmates. My story begins at the age of 6 years old. I am now 16 years old, so this happened 10 years ago in my past, and I curse the day my parents brought me the damned toy from the antique store. I was nearing the age of 5 years old, with my birthday being in 2 weeks. My parents asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I didn't have a clue to what I wanted. Well, I do, but what I really wanted costs too much, and so I told them to surprise me, and surprise me they did. My parents planned a birthday party for my 6th birthday, inviting my whole class from school. I wish they hadn't done that and let me pick who I wanted to come, as there were bullies in my class that would be invited also to my own party. The day came, and would you believe it, my parents brought me one of those sailor suits they thought I would look cute in. I got my own way, however, when I told them that if they made me wear this then I would run off from my own party and would not return. However, they wanted me to wear it at our next family photo shoot, so I agreed. The party started at 11 a.m. as it was on a weekend and there was no school, which was great. I could play with all my new toys all weekend. Guests started to show up around 11:30. First, my best friends came, then the rest of the children came. We all went into the playroom and started to play with my toys. The parents of all the children didn't go home either. They stayed in the kitchen and outside while drinking their adult drinks, bragging mostly about whose child is better and who would make the most money when they grow up. I haven't got a clue as to why they would talk about us like that, but my guess would be that when they are older, then, their kids would look after them and spend their own money on their parents. Anyway, let's get back to the story. As more and more people were coming, my parents had set up a table near to the front door so people who brought me presents could put them there, while watching the pile grow bigger and bigger. I am now glad they invited my whole class. I couldn't wait until I opened my presents, but that would have to wait for a few hours. That part I hated so much. My parents did spend a fair bit of money on activities, so us children weren't bored at the party. I have a bouncy castle, laser tag, pin the tail on the donkey and more. These toys were put out so anyone could play. However, my parents did buy a piñata which all the kids would play. We were blindfolded, spun around, and then we would have to try and hit the piñata with a bat. If we got a good hit then sweets would fall out. That activity was great. Kids do love sweet and chocolate after all. My parents must have also spent a fortune on food. There were 3 large tables full of it. However, one table was for the adults, but that didn't matter. We have 2 full tables to ourselves, including cakes. I guess children like sweet stuff the most, as the sweets and cakes went before anything else. Go figure. The time was coming closer to when I could open all of my presents. I could not wait. I went to the table. As children do, I started to pick up boxes and shake them. I thought maybe if I could hear what is inside, then maybe I can guess what it is. One box I picked up started to make music as I shook it. I shook it some more, trying to figure out what on earth was in the box, but I could not figure it out. I ran over to my parents and asked them if I could open the presents. I must have really annoyed them with how many times I asked. They gave in really fast. My parents started bringing all the presents outside to where all the children and parents are. I guess the parents liked to see the look on our faces as they were the ones that stared at me intently. The children gathered around. I guess they wanted to see if there was anything they could play with. When they finished bringing out all the presents, I then started to open all the presents. It was the usual stuff. Books, a stuffed bear, and then coloring supplies. However, the present I really wanted to open was not there. I looked again to see if I could find it, but again it was not there. I then saw my mother coming outside carrying another present. Maybe this was the one I was intrigued about. She handed me the present. I gave it a little shake. With what I heard, I knew this was the present. I really wanted to know what it is. After tearing open the present, there was a blank box. I opened the box and there it was, staring at me. a jack-in-the-box with a picture of a clown on the front. I took it out of the box and curiously looked at it. I saw that it had a handle on the side. I began to rotate it and the box played a song. I kept rotating the handle and what happened next, put my heart into my throat. The lid popped open and out popped a clown, with a laughing voice. The clown had long back hair with a black and white patterned cone nose. He had unnatural long arms with baggy pants, strappy socks and always seemed to have a smile on his face, which was really creepy. I thanked my parents and took the toy, along with the other toys, to my room. I left some out so my classmates could also play with them. I was never selfish and always left my friends to play with whatever they wanted. I put the clown on my desk next to my bed. As soon as I turned around to return to the other children downstairs, I heard a really creepy laugh. I turned around and there was nothing there. The hairs on the back of my neck really did stand up. I looked around but didn't see anything except for that damn clown. After thinking for a few minutes I thought to myself, it is only a toy. I went back downstairs to finish off the rest of the day. After opening the presents, I was really hoping that the party would soon finish. I could have stayed in my room and not gone downstairs, but I know that my mother would have come and got me at some point. The time had finally come when people started to leave. I was happy but also a little tired. The party with all the activities had really gotten to me and I was ready for bed. Going back to my room, I forgot about the clown pop-up toy. It was really creepy. I thought to myself, I had to put a hoodie over the top of it. It really looked as if it was watching you. I decided to jump into my PJs and get into bed, but as I turned around, I noticed that the hoodie I put on the clown was now on the floor. I was a little taken back by it, but I just figured it fell off. I jumped into my nice and cozy bed and closed my eyes. A little while later, I heard something that gave me a startle and made me jump out of my bed. It must have been the most horrid laugh I had heard. I picked up a torch I kept beside my bed and looked around my room. Nothing. I could not see anything. Then I noticed it. The clown I had put next to my bed was now looking at me. Startled, I picked up the clown and put it in the closet and closed the door. As I walked back to my bed, I heard it again, that laughter. Even the hairs on the back of my neck started to stand up. The next couple of nights, I didn't get much sleep as I kept hearing that evil laugh, but no matter how much I looked around, I could not find where it was coming from. For a short while, I had thought that one of my mates was playing a joke on me and hid a speaker. However, I tore my room apart and found nothing. The laughter did stop after a few weeks. However, there was now talking in replace of the laughter. Every night I could hear it, come and play with me. I heard on a nightly basis. The laughter and voices were now wearing me down and I was starting to lose my mind. Not getting much sleep does a lot for your mental health. I started to take the clown out of my closet and we played games. It was pranks at first. Move this and then put it back. Turn off the water tap when a bath or the sink was running. Then it started to get serious. The voices had me go into my parents' room and cut their hair with a pair of scissors. It was small at first, hardly noticeable, but the voice wanted more and so I obliged and gave it more. As if I didn't do it then the voice wouldn't let me sleep and even started to threaten me. This was really bad. It seemed I had a demonic toy in my room and I know that, if I told my parents then they would never believe me. Who would? The idea of a demonic toy is ridiculous. 3 months passed by and my behavior and demeanor has now changed. I didn't hang out with anyone anymore. I would shout at my peers and siblings for no reason at all. I would also get violent, kind of like I was getting possessed. Things took a change for the worse. The toy had me going out, finding animals and killing them and mutilating them. It really sounds like a psychopath in the making, but I couldn't help myself. I couldn't stop. The toy had now found a way of hurting me if I had ignored it. I tried to throw away the toy but it always found its way back into my room. I then started to hide it in the attic but even that never worked. I was the toy's puppet, there to do its bidding and there was nothing I could have done. The biggest regret of my life then came. One night while trying to get to sleep, I heard the voice. This time it wanted me to do something I knew was wrong. I tried to ignore it. I really did, but this really loud squeaking noise into my head that I couldn't ignore. The voice told me to get a knife from the kitchen and plunged it into the chest of my mother and father. I really did hate that toy, but there was nothing I could do. I told it no, I am not doing that. I ignored everything it did to me. However, I found myself being possessed by the toy. My body seemed to have a mind of its own. I was fully aware of what is happening, but I could not move my own body. I watched in horror as I went into the kitchen at 3 a.m., pick up a large knife from the sink. I then went upstairs to my parents' room. The toy had me standing over my parents with my hand in the air above their chest. Do it and it will all be over, the voice told me. No, I told the demon, I will not do it. I told the demon, but it told me that if I don't then it will kill them slowly and make me watch. At that point, I thought I could wake my parents up by shouting, but nothing came out of my mouth as I tried. I looked in horror as I watched the demon take control of my arm and slowly bring down the knife. It got closer and closer to my father. I begged and begged the demon to stop, but it just laughed at me and carried on. The knife then hit the flesh of my father. He woke up as he felt the knife go into his flesh. The demon used my other arm to cover his mouth so he wouldn't wake my mother. My father tried to fight me, but he couldn't as the demon was too strong. After what seemed a lifetime, my father was now dead. With tears in my eyes, I could not believe what had happened. I really did try to fight the demon as he went round to my mother's side. This time, the demon tied up my mother so she could not move. Then the demon woke up my mother. It wanted her to see her own son slowly kill her. I can still remember the tears in her eyes, and she struggled as the knife went into her chest and into her heart. The demon was not finished yet. Oh no, it couldn't stop with my parents. Now it wanted the soul of my older sister, and yet again I could not stop it. The demon went to my sister's room. Much to my delight, the door was really squeaky, and this woke up my sister. After taking a few moments to see what going off, she could see me in her doorway with a knife. She quickly grabbed her phone and ran into her bathroom and locked the door. I was really pleased she managed to go and hide. The demon went over to the bathroom and tried to break down the door. However, lucky for me and my sister, there was a cross on the door which seemed to weaken the demon as his fists hit the door. I could feel control now coming back to me, with each hit weakening his hold over me. When I had full control over one of my arms, I quickly grabbed the cross that was on the door and put it onto my forehead. Much to my delight, it had worked. The demon screamed in pain and quickly left my body. I kept holding on to the cross and ran outside to wait for the police. I could hear them in the distance. At the police station I told them my story, but I knew they would not believe me. They took the cross away from me when I begged them not to. I could feel the demon trying to take control of me again. While at dinner at the mental institute, I grabbed a plastic knife and carved the Lord's cross into my chest. This has kept the demon away, but I know he is still there biding his time before he can take over